Welcome to As I Live and Grieve, a podcast that tells the truth about how hard this is. We're glad you joined us today. We know how hard it is to lose someone you love and how well-intentioned friends and family try so hard to comfort us. We created this podcast to provide you with comfort, knowledge, and support. We are grief advocates, not professionals, not licensed therapists. We are you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back again to As I Live and Grieve. So excited today. I'm always excited with our guests, but today we have a very special guest. She's been with us before, loved what she had to say, and she has some special things for us today. With me today is Stacy Francis. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Absolutely. Happy New Year back to you. Stacy, before we get started with questions, will you just give our listeners a little bit of your background, please?
Yeah, so I'm a independent financial advisor, a certified financial planner, but I never expected to be in this field. In fact, I was the girl who sat in the back of math class. I did not raise my hand, and I hoped that no one would see me. And so it made me kind of curious, particularly to, your listeners of, how do I find myself in this position? I grew up and I found out the hard way how important it is, particularly for women, to understand money and really be empowered around their finances. My dearest person in my life, my grandmother, she shared with me that she felt financially trapped, and it actually for her was a very dangerous situation. She had an abusive marriage. My grandfather was really not a nice person, and it became so violent that she ended up passing away from the abuse.
Oh, dear.
So, Kathy, growing up as a little girl, seeing this, losing the person you love in your early 20s, knowing that she felt like she couldn't leave, even though she wanted to, even though that we said, please, we'll do everything, at how powerful it can be for women who feel trapped or just don't have the support, don't have the financial knowledge, and I have to say the vast majority of women, even millennials, studies have shown once millennial women get married, of all the generations, they have least agency over their money, even less agency than the baby boomers or, the greatest generation. So, it's not just one generation or another.
That's right.
It's really important for us, especially because 8 out of 10 of women, we're going to be on our own at some point in our life, right?
That's right.
So.
That's absolutely right. And even if you may not be alone, you may be in a position in your marriage or your relationship where your partner becomes ill and is no longer able to take care of the finances and maybe even not able to coherently explain to you what to do, where everything is. I was more fortunate in that in any relationship I've had, I've always been the caretaker of the finances, so to speak. So I knew where the money was. But even knowing that, there was still a surprise or two for me after Tom died, my husband died. I didn't know, for example, that he had insurance with a previous employer. Somebody from that company reached out to me and said, you might want to check this. I did. Lo and behold, 3.5 weeks later, something like that. I think it was about 3.5 weeks later, I got a check for $15,000.
That's unbelievable.
That
right?
money could have been sitting there all that time.
Yeah.
So this is extremely important, ladies. And today, Stacy's going to kind of drill it down a bit. She has some strategies, financial strategies for widows for 2023. Now, even if you are not a widow, I still encourage you to listen in. You may know someone who's a widow. Maybe it's a sister. Maybe it's a cousin. Maybe it's your neighbor or another coworker. Listen in because this is important. In fact, I'll go further. I'll say it's critical. All right, Stacy, what have you got for us? Financial strategies for widows for 2023. What's first on your list?
So the first thing is actually someone, whatever your situation is important, but especially for widows, is getting a really good handle on your spending. And the reason why this is so important for 2023, it's important for two reasons. Number one, for the vast majority of us, our spending has increased over the last couple of years for two reasons.
Right.
In 2020, we had bare bones budgets,
Yep.
and we actually couldn't spend, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't really leave our homes. And secondly, over these last couple years since 2020, inflation has been, some of the highest that we've ever seen it in,
Absolutely.
recent history.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the grocery store, a $200 shop now is
Mm-hmm.
$275, maybe even 300.
Yep.
And we're really feeling it. And for most widows, they are on a budget. So, what to do in 2023? Right about now, in the beginning of the year, you receive from every credit card
Mm-hmm.
that you hold, typically they're going to send you a report. And this report is going to have a full comprehensive listing of all of your spending in 2022. And what's fantastic about this, Kathy, is they actually categorize it for you. So they put
Mm.
it into the categories for you so that you can, in 15 minutes, get a real clear picture of exactly where your money's going on your credit cards.
Wow.
And so it's a wonderful way to really have true transparency
Mm-hmm.
about where you're spending your money. And then the second thing is to go back through those statements for your checking account, because we
Mm.
know that many of us, we may be paying the mortgage from our checking account,
Right.
large checks, and you can ask and make sure that you get a yearly summary and go right online and do that. You can even download it from online to an Excel sheet
Mm.
so that you can easily go through and track
Right.
all the different spending. So that's the number one, I would say, because
Wow.
for the vast majority of people, they underestimate their spending
Mm-hmm.
by 30 to 40% a year. So if
That
you ask
much.
someone, how much do you spend a month? They'll give you a number. They're typically off by 30 to 40%. And
Wow.
and do you think they overestimate what they're spending, or Kathy, do you think they underestimate?
I think they probably
You
underestimate.
got it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
underestimate, and we forget about, the dog license. We forget about those impulse buys. You went to a craft fair and you
Mm-hmm.
really weren't there to buy anything, but funny enough, we walk away with a few things.
Right. Right.
And so once you take a look at that information, look at, are there any reoccurring subscriptions that you don't use anymore?
Right.
Are there any subscriptions or dues that you're paying for your spouse that has passed away? Are you paying for the price of two people for that when
Right.
you could be paying a lower amount for now one
Mm-hmm.
person? And then look at the other things of, what were the things that were impulse buys? No judgments, but if you need to reduce your spending to get it
Mm-hmm.
in a sustainable place to put you on a path to financial security, then where can we look at in that budget that maybe we spent a little bit more than we would have, or we spent
Right.
money on things that weren't those necessary things that we need?
Right. Right. One quick question on the first piece that you mentioned when the credit cards send you like a snapshot of the
Yeah.
previous year. That does not include debit cards, correct?
So the debit cards, you can go and get that online too.
Okay.
Um, some debit cards will do that for you.
Okay.
Not all. We tend to see the credit cards be more
Okay.
of the ones that are sending the year-end
Okay.
summary.
All right.
But for everyone, even if you don't get that paper summary in the mail, you can go online to your account.
Okay.
And actually, sometimes the reports don't come out for a little bit later. You can go online, and this time of the year
Mm-hmm.
already, it's ready to go.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. And I'll just pipe in with a couple of comments. My mailbox every day is inundated with
Hmm.
envelopes. And so many of them, when I look at them initially, oh, junk mail, junk mail, junk mail. I encourage everyone, do not just make a judgment by what you see on the outside of the envelope that it is junk, especially for widows. You could be tossing out something that you weren't aware that you
Yeah.
even had. So I encourage you to open every single piece of mail. You might think that's going to waste your time, but trust me, you could find out that you were missing. You would have missed something very, very important. And as
Mhm.
far as the credit card reports, again, for widows, you may find there was a credit card you weren't even aware of. So that's
Mhm.
the other piece. So make sure you match those reports with the credit cards you are aware of.
Yes. And if you want to discover if there are credit cards out there that you didn't know about or are attached to your
Mm-hmm.
name, just go to annualcreditreport.com. It's a online site. You can go, and I did this actually for a client of ours.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 5 minutes to order her credit report. So this is different. The summaries of your spending from the credit companies, MasterCard,
Right.
Visa, that's the summary of your spending from the previous year.
Uh-huh.
Your credit report is a list of all of your credit history, all the different credit cards you have,
Okay.
as well as your score. And you get that from Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Those are the big three
Right.
credit. And the way you get it is you just go to annualcreditreport.com. And I encourage anyone who has, gone through the death of a spouse,
Mm-hmm.
because you will see on there if there are, credit cards that you didn't know about,
Mm-hmm.
auto loans, home equity lines of credit,
Wow.
um, outstanding medical bills that
Mm-hmm.
maybe were not paid from your spouse's
Okay.
last care in a hospital. It's very helpful, and also it doesn't hurt your score to get these.
Super. Annualcreditreport.com.
Exactly, and I'll make sure that I give that to you so you can put that in the show
Okay.
notes.
All right.
Again, it doesn't hurt your credit to get this,
Mm-hmm.
and also it doesn't cost anything. It's free of charge.
That's
So
super.
there's no negative. And when you go on there, you have a choice to get either one or one from each of those three,
Okay.
Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. I would say get one from all three because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
one will catch something
Right.
where the other one doesn't. And I agree with you, Kathy. Open all of
Mm-hmm.
those emails, open all of that mail, because if you're not sure you know all the assets
Mm-hmm.
of your household, if you're getting a piece of mail or an email from a financial institution, usually there's some type of an account
Right.
there,
Right.
right? And so it helps you start to put together essentially what my second recommendation is once you really understand what your
Mm-hmm.
spending looks like, really understand what your assets are
Right.
and looking at what's in your checking, the
Mm-hmm.
savings accounts, any taxable brokerage accounts,
Right.
and then retirement accounts, IRAs,
Right.
401ks, pensions, so that you can see what you have,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to help make a good determination of
Right.
what is the amount that I can live on in a sustainable way.
Right. One quick mention on email. Read the email, but don't click on any links in it
Mhm.
because
Yes.
it could be a fraudulent email. It could be something that they're just trying to get your information. So if you find something that you want to know more about and it says, for example, Key Bank, just disregard the email, contact Key Bank and
Exactly.
ask them, I got an
Yeah.
email. Were you trying to reach me? So don't click
Yeah.
on anything in the emails. Or if you're not sure, find someone that you know that's pretty savvy with computers and technology, and they can help you as well. I just didn't want anybody to fall prey to some hoax or fraudulent attempt.
Yeah, where they put spyware
Oh,
spyware
and
and all
everything, and
of
there's
that.
so many of them. Okay, Stacy, continue on.
So in making 2023 the year where you make the most of your money, once you know exactly what you're spending and you've put together that, we call it a statement of net worth, you know where all your
Mm-hmm.
assets are, it's getting clear about, is this enough for me?
Okay.
We've got some great worksheets that I will share. I wrote a beautiful resource guide for widows
Yes,
and
you
helping them with their
did.
finances. So we'll put a link to that. There's some really helpful charts and also worksheets to use to help you create that,
Mm-hmm.
not only the budget but also a listing of all your assets. What I want to teach today is some advanced financial forecasting
Okay.
that's going to allow you to know, am I on track? And what's great about this, Kathy, is that it's actually pretty simple. So I want to talk about what's called the 4% withdrawal rule. The
Ooh,
4% withdrawal rule.
okay.
And it's really straightforward. If you have $1 million at retirement,
Mhm.
you can relatively safely withdraw 4% of that value. So $40,000 for that year. And that amount puts you in a very good place such that that portfolio should not be depleted for a good 35, potentially even 40 years.
Wow.
So that means that if you're age 60
Hmm.
and you expect to live a nice long life out to 85, 90, even beyond,
Hmm.
if you're taking a distribution of 4% a year, then you are putting yourself in a very financially safe place of being able to have that portfolio to rely on for the next several decades.
Interesting.
Now, a lot of people, when you say if you have $1 million, I don't have $1 million, or
No.
not many people do. So what does that mean? Well, there are other sources of income, and one of the most important things we can do as widows is to understand our Social Security benefits,
Right.
right? And for a lot of individuals, it's something that's neglected.
Hmm.
Many women can go and collect a Social Security benefit on the benefit of their deceased spouse, and you can look at, is their benefit higher than yours?
Hmm.
And all you have to do is go to this website, SSA for Social
Right.
Security Administration.gov. It will give you the phone number of the Social Security office in your neighborhood, your region, and you give them a call and you give them all the information about your spouse, their
Hmm.
birth date, their Social Security. They will look up their benefit, they will look up yours, and they will make sure that you have the most advantageous, most lucrative claim strategy. And it could be that you claim on your spouse's until you reach age 70 and you switch and you claim on yours, because at age 70, your benefit is higher than his would.
Really?
There are a lot of different ways to do this, but what I have to say is, and it's a little bit of work, I want everyone listening to call that Social Security office not once, not twice, but 3 times, and make sure that the advice you're given is the same from all three professionals.
Why is that?
Because there are, as we know in this world, all different levels of expertise.
Hmm.
And that is true also at the Social Security Administration. And when we're dealing with widows' benefits, survivors' benefits, and your own Social Security, it's one of the most complicated topics and issues to understand about Social Security and how you most lucratively make that claim. And so we have fancy modeling software where we actually can model this, and it tells us exactly what the best thing is.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't have a financial advisor. So you just call. And what we do, just to kind of test out what we're doing, is we call and see if they give us the same claim strategy. And usually they do, but every once in a while, someone will give us something completely different.
Wow.
So we call back, and then that second person gives us the same claim strategy we said.
Hmm.
So just, kind of, I know this is really bad, but as a teenager, sometimes if my parents wouldn't give me the answer I wanted, I would just ask again.
Uh-huh.
Now, well, I have to tell you, in this case, it's a good thing. So it's just, making sure that the advice you're giving, that you've got two professionals from the Social Security Administration that have told you that.
That's very interesting and very sage advice. That's great.
It is, and especially for women, because a lot of people kind of poo-poo Social
Hmm.
Security. It might only be a $2,000 benefit year, per month, or 3,000. But I will tell you that modeled over a lifetime, the difference between a $2,000 benefit and a higher $3,000
Hmm.
benefit can be literally,
Hmm.
tens, maybe even $100,000 in difference
Well,
of
sure.
your benefit. And it allows you to have less stress on how much you have to pull out of that
Hmm.
portfolio. Because if you can have $30,000 a year coming from Social Security and, then maybe that portfolio, whatever the value is, the 4% withdrawal rate that we talked about, maybe that is enough.
Hmm.
Maybe it is enough. It
Right.
might not be, but maybe it is enough.
Right. Now, can you explain, if you know, why at age 70 the benefit for women goes up?
So it's for men and women.
Okay.
And actually, the benefit increases starting from age 62 all the way up to age 70. And the longer you wait, the higher your benefit will be.
Right.
Each year, your benefit goes up by 8%.
Hmm.
This year, it went up by 8% plus an inflation rate, which
Right.
was another 8%. So,
Right.
wow, it really went
Yeah.
up. And the reason why we say for most, in particular women, it makes sense to claim on your benefit at age 70
Hmm.
or wait for the latest benefit is because the way that the higher dollar amount that you're going to be claiming at age 70, even though you're not claiming for the previous years, typically if you claim that higher benefit and live to age, I think it's like 86 or age 87, that's the mark where if you can get out to that age and then beyond, it's better for you.
Okay.
But what I want the women to listen to today is yes, you can wait to claim on your benefit till age 70, but don't forget that you, as a widow, have the ability to collect on your husband's benefit through a survivor's benefit. You might be entitled to a widow's benefit. So you'll be collecting potentially on his benefit and letting your benefit continue to grow that 8% each year, 8% each year. And then when you get to age
Hmm.
70, take a look of like which
Which
one
is
is the
better?
better one.
Right.
It could be that your benefit has grown so
Right.
much that by switching to yours at that time, it might be a better thing. And there are lots of details. Sometimes it's better to switch before, but of course, there's beautiful social security software that us as financial advisors use. But you can also get this information, like I said, just going to ssa.gov and giving a call to your local office.
Right. But you have to contact them because they're not going to say to you,
No, they are
so
not. Yeah,
which one would you like to collect on? They're not going to offer
yeah,
you that option. So if you don't know
yeah,
that exists,
yeah. And I want to give another great resource. I shared about my grandmother. I ended up creating this beautiful charity called Savvy Ladies in her honor. And for 21 years, we've been working with women pro bono.
hmm,
And there are two great resources for all the women listening. The first one is we have a Social Security webinar that is given by an amazing woman called Mary Beth Franklin. She's one of the top Social Security experts in the world.
hmm,
And I can't encourage everyone listening enough. Go to savvyladies.org and look up Mary Beth Franklin or look up Social Security and please watch that
okay.
because she talks through all of these things and just makes it so understandable and arms you
Wow.
with the information you need. The second thing is that our charity offers a beautiful helpline
Hmm.
that can help you with your Social Security questions that you have. As I said, us as financial advisors, we've got this fancy
Right.
software that we can do this. And the helpline will match you up with a certified financial planner
Hmm.
to work free of charge on the phone or Zoom, however, for 1 hour. And these are some of the top financial experts out there. And I have to say, in fact, some of them get to work with Mary Beth Franklin, which is
Wow.
phenomenal.
Wow.
And it's all free of charge. And we don't income test. So whether you have a dollar in your pocket or you don't have a dollar in your pocket, Savvy Ladies is there as a great resource. And the helpline, you can go right online. We actually made 2,500 matches between women
Wow.
and certified financial planners last year. This year, I think Kathy, I think we're going to
I
be
think you're going to
doubling it.
beat it. Double.
It's really phenomenal.
Wow. Well, I hope everyone that I mentioned it to, and I passed the word quite a bit,
You may be a big reason we had that 26.
Well, I can't quite claim
Yeah.
it because we're not asking how did you get here, but I promoted it substantially in a lot of different places when I was asked to speak to an audience or something. Okay, so the time is slipping by quickly. Do you have something else for us?
This is the last one, and I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but there are a lot of very well-meaning family members, friends that are going to tell you what to do with your money.
Right.
And if they are a certified financial planner, if they have at least 10 years of experience, if they're a fee-only and fiduciary advisor, listen. Listen to them. However, I can tell you the vast majority of your friends and family members are not, and they probably don't have expertise of working with widows.
Right.
So what you say is, thank you so much. I will take that under consideration.
Okay.
And then you either reach out to your financial advisor or reach out to a friend who is a widow as well and ask her, what do you do with your money? Who is your advisor? And eventually you're going to find someone who has an advisor that they rave about.
Right.
And the reason why I say this is that the decisions you make in these first few years after losing your spouse can make or break your long-term financial security.
That's absolutely true.
It is, and we're not at our best. We are, overwhelmed beyond.
That's right.
You're dealing with so much financial minutia, so many financial decisions. We often, I know myself when I feel that way, I kind of just want to give this to someone else to take care of for me.
Yeah.
But I have to encourage you, don't be that person. This is too important. Get a great advisor and make sure that you understand what they're doing. And if they explain how they charge and you don't understand, guess what? It's not your fault. It's their fault. And you may need to interview 1, 2, or 3 advisors. But what I'll do is I'll also send to you, Kathy, I have a great list of questions to ask an advisor.
Super.
So that when you go out there, you know what questions to ask to make sure that you're getting someone who is really going to do a great job for you.
That's super. Now, is that list of questions also available on your website?
It is on our website. Okay. Yes, it's buried, but I can give you the link so we can give a link to you too.
Yeah, and that would be
website,
great.
Our website is www.francisfinancial.com. And so the story is at 26, I launched this beautiful charity called Savvy Ladies. I was 21 years ago. And then the year after, when I was 27, I realized I had to find a way to pay for this charity. And it's been the last 2 decades that I have, it's my own independent wealth management firm. And we work primarily with women who are widows or women who are going through divorce. And I absolutely adore what I do. And what's wonderful is that so much of what we're able to do, because we're able to be so successful. We were the 11th fastest growing firm in the country last year. We're able to donate a huge amount to Savvy Ladies and really give big to be able to make a difference. So yeah, you can go to www.francisfinancial.com. You'll see there's a white paper for women, widows, and finances. We also have one for women who are thinking about or going through a divorce. And we have a lot of really helpful tools there and worksheets to make this as easy as possible.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the resource that you have for widows that's available on your website, on the Francis Financial website. I read through that. I saw all the worksheets and I thought, where was this when I needed it? It wasn't, I didn't know about it, of course. And I will say also that in that resource guide, you even have a section for the widows of veterans, because that's that's a whole piece of another color.
That's an entire podcast.
that is absolutely so, and can be very difficult to navigate. So, okay, we got through all your strategies, and there's so much valuable information in everything you said today. And I know it was targeted for widows, and I appreciate that on behalf of all widows. But I think there's still a lot of valuable information in there for all females, regardless of where you are in your relationship status. Even if you are partnered, even if you are married, it is critical that you understand where your money is and where it's going. I can't say enough about that because, yes, in fact, when you're grieving is not an easy time to learn all that. So if you can prepare, and children, if you happen to be listening and you have a parent, help them wrap their heads around it. You'll be saving yourself a lot of work should they go. Trust me on that. Okay, so before I wrap up, Stacy, I want to turn the mic over to you and let you speak directly to our listeners. I know you've already given them a lot of tips and everything. You can repeat, you can say whatever you want to without me leading you on with questions. Go ahead, it's your turn.
I what I want to do is just give everyone listening a big hug, and I just want to encourage you to know that you've got this. I struggled. I call it financial confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I really struggled building my own financial confidence because I didn't feel like I was good at math and that this money thing was pretty complicated.
Right.
But I have to tell you, Kathy, it's not. And I also realize I'm pretty darn good at math.
Mm-hmm.
And so know that when you go and you turn into CNBC or you see Jim Cramer on his show and I watch that and my heart pressure, like my blood pressure goes up, my heart rate goes up to
Right.
120 and I'm not even like moving. It creates a lot of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what this is about.
Right.
It's about saving for the future. It's about taking care of yourself and it's about investing. And, they're things that you,
Mm-hmm.
again, don't have to be a rocket scientist to
Right.
understand, even though when watch certain TV shows, they kind of make it look like that way. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, as women, we've got this. And in fact, women
Right.
are better investors. We have higher returns than our male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And we also tend to save more as a percentage
Mm-hmm.
of our income. So I think when it comes to finances, we have a foot ahead. We just have to believe in ourselves. And for a lot of us, we
Right.
just haven't flexed our financial muscle. And so this might be the first time you're doing that. But we know if you go to the gym, you get stronger
Mm-hmm.
and healthier. And it's the same thing with this.
Yeah.
Once you get more involved with your finances, you'll get stronger and you'll also get financially healthier.
I couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, I will say, if you're not good at math, that's what they have calculators for.
Exactly,
And
right?
if you
Thank
can
God.
if you can read and follow a recipe, I've seen some of
Yes.
those recipes. If you can read and follow a recipe, you can learn about your own finances.
Yeah,
And I think
it
there's
is.
probably, if you don't believe it yet, wait, but there's probably greater motivation with your own finances than there is completing a recipe. So
Yeah.
don't despair. And there's help available should you need it. SavvyLadies.org. Okay.
Exactly. We're there for you.
Okay, Stacy, I can't thank you enough. In fact, I had this brainstorm. I think every year you need to come back right after the new year so that we can do things like this again
I love it.
and just
Yeah.
remind everybody because otherwise, your episode kind of gets buried in the weeks that follow. And I can't stress it enough. I have gone from having an absolutely horrible, horrible, horrible in the basement credit rating, partially because of a husband, but I have been able to repair that. So I was
hmm
finally able to go out and buy myself a brand new car. First time in my
Wow.
life ever. First
That's
time in my life.
amazing.
Yeah.
And how amazing does that feel, right? To be able to do
Incredible.
that, to be
Incredible.
able to do that for yourself.
Especially my grandsons think it's pretty cool. Grandma's got a racy car. So that was fun too. So, ladies, you can do it. Listeners, you can do it. Take these words to heart. Check out francisfinancial.com, savvyladies.org, and do something about your financial wealth. Learn it, understand it, and then let it grow. And you'll have a great, great, happy life. Okay, I usually preach about self-care, but I can't think of anything more specific to self-care than taking care of yourself financially. So on that note, I'll just wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Hope you join us again next week as we all continue to live and grieve.
Thank you so much for listening with us today. Do you have a topic that you'd like us to cover, or do you have a question from one of our episodes? Please email us at info@asiliveandgrieve.com and let us know. We hope you will find a moment to leave a review, send an email, and share with others. Join us next time as we continue to live and grieve together.